The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down.
Yeah, an unexpected press release drops, and the timeline just, completely freezes.
I mean, after 19 years, a literal pillar of the Hallyu wave makes a move that changes everything.
Yeah, it really does. Welcome to StarScope K-Report. Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates.
From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
And today, we have a massive stack of sources to get through. Official agency statements from SM Entertainment, reports from Soupy, Koreaboo, Star News.
Plus some incredibly detailed Knet's discussions pulled straight from Reddit.
All centered on one monumental headline from July 31st, 2026. Kwon Yuri is officially parting ways with SM Entertainment.
19 years is like an absolute eternity in the K-pop industry.
Oh, 100%. I mean, to put in perspective for you, that tenure actually predates the debut of the iPhone.
That is just wild to think about.
Right. She has been operating within the same corporate machinery since before Girls' Generation. SNSD even made their iconic debut back in 2007.
So our mission for this deep dive is to cut through the standard PR spin. We are going to uncover the actual structural reasons behind this monumental shift.
Exactly, and decode exactly what this means for the upcoming Girls' Generation 20th anniversary in 2027.
And, of course, we'll explore the hidden leverage that veteran K-pop stars wield in a notoriously grueling industry. But real quick, if you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead.
Because taking Yuri's departure at face value, well, it kind of misses the broader picture.
Yeah.
What we're seeing here is a tectonic shift in how legacy idols navigate their careers.
Right. The traditional playbook of signing lifelong contracts with a single mega agency is basically being rewritten in real time.
Let's start by unpacking that headline news and mapping out the new SNSD landscape. The breaking news hits on July 31st.
Right. After in-depth discussions, SM and Yuri mutually agreed to end their exclusive contract effective August 31st.
But the tone of the agency statement itself is highly revealing. Historically, when an artist leaves a South Korean mega agency, the press releases can be incredibly icy.
Oh, very icy. They tend to be brief, hyper-corporate, and sometimes they carry this weird undertone of betrayal.
Totally. But SN's statement about Yuri was remarkably warm. They explicitly highlighted her as an all-around artist.
Yeah, they praised her achievements not just in music, but in variety shows, hosting, and acting.
They even gave a promotional nod to her recent drama, Parole Examiner Lee, which is, huge of them.
They made it a point to say that it was a precious time for SM to accompany her on her journey of leading the Hallyu wave.
It felt less like a severance and more like a glowing letter of recommendation, honestly.
That level of public respect is really reserved for the absolute top-tier legacy artists, primarily because SM recognizes the ongoing value of the SNSD brand.
It definitely reflects the reality of the current roster, too.
It is wild when you actually map out that roster. Yuri is now the 5th member to leave SM Entertainment while remaining officially in the group.
Right. She joins Tiffany, Sooyoung, and Hyoyeon, who all made their exits back in 2017 to focus on acting and solo ventures.
And then you have SONE, who left SM in August 2023.
We aren't counting Jessica here, who departed the group entirely back in 2014. So out of the current 8 members of Girls' Generation, only 3 remain at the agency that created them.
Yeah, Yuna, Hyoyeon, and Taeyeon, who, according to our sources, just renewed her contract back in January of 2026.
Which creates a fascinating legal and logistical dynamic. You have a mega group where 5 of the 8 members, the clear majority, no longer work for the agency that holds the group's name.
Or their trademark or their back catalog. It feels like graduating from a university, but remaining an active voting member of the alumni board.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
You don't live in the dorms anymore, you don't pay tuition to the school, but you still show up to the homecoming game and dictate how the float is decorated. But I have to push back here. If the majority of the group is no longer at SM, how can they still practically function as an SM group?
It's a fair question.
Isn't SM terrified of losing the crown jewels of the Hallyu wave? Why are they just letting these legendary idols walk out the door instead of fighting to keep them exclusive?
Well, SM's willingness to let Yuri walk isn't exactly a failure of management or a loss of leverage. The Reddit sources analyzing the domestic fan reactions point directly to the recent upheaval at SM Entertainment.
Oh, you mean the massive internal earthquake?
Right. We are talking about the highly publicized, incredibly messy ouster of SM's founder, Lee Soo-man.
Which triggered a staff mutiny, a corporate bidding war, and just a complete restructuring of the company's internal management.
When a company's going through that kind of boardroom chaos, older, veteran artists become heavily hesitant to lock themselves into standard long-term commitments.
That makes perfect sense. If you are a 19-year veteran, you don't want your schedule and your revenue split dictated by a brand new executive team trying to prove themselves to shareholders.
Exactly. The netizens note that amidst this chaos, senior artists who do stay are only signing short-term deals.
Like just 2-year contracts, right? Because the internal structure is simply too unpredictable.
And when you look at Yuri's recent schedule, she really hasn't been doing much traditional idol work anyway. Her bias in her career right now is clearly outside the SM machinery.
Yeah, she has been focusing heavily on her acting career, hosting variety shows and managing her own personal investments.
She doesn't need a massive globally scaled music agency to book her a domestic web drama or manage her real estate portfolio.
The infrastructure required to support a global pop tour is just entirely different from the infrastructure required to manage a working actor.
And this leads us to a new part-time trend that is quietly taking over all the mega agencies, not just SM, but competitors like YG and JYP as well.
So instead of fighting tooth and nail in bitter legal battles to keep a veteran artist full-time, the agencies are pivoting.
They're looking at the margins. Mega agencies operate on strict budgets. Retaining a highly paid 19-year veteran usually means a revenue split that heavily favors the artist.
Sometimes 80-20 in the artist's favor, right?
Exactly. Agencies have realized it is far more profitable to offer these veterans part-time deals or let them walk entirely, while retaining the right to bring them back for a reunion.
Because then the agency can take the millions of dollars they would have spent on Yuri's retainer and redirect those funds toward younger, cheaper rookie groups.
Yep, groups who are locked into standard 7-year contracts where the revenue split heavily favors the house.
It preserves the iconic group brand for lucrative reunion concerts, which sell out stadiums instantly but frees up the day-to-day operational budget.
It is the ultimate lesson in leveraging your legacy, and it applies directly to anyone listening right now, regardless of your industry.
Truly, Yuri spent 19 years building her capital, proving her worth, and surviving the brutal early years of her career.
Because of that sweat equity, she now has the power to dictate her own terms. She doesn't have to sever ties with the group she loves, but she doesn't have to play by the agency's daily, micromanaged rules either.
But wait till you hear what netizens uncovered next, because if agencies are pushing veterans toward these part-time deals, it begs the question, what does a veteran actually do with that newfound free time?
Well, for Yuri, seeking independence absolutely does not mean taking a hiatus.
Not at all. In fact, her departure date perfectly, and somewhat ironically, aligns with a massive debut.
Yes. Yuri is officially leaving SM on August 31st, and August 31st is the exact same day that her brand new SNSD subunit, HyoRiSoo, is officially debuting.
The fandom has been waiting for this specific combination for an entire decade. Let's break down the HyoRiSoo hype.
It's a dance-focused trio consisting of Hyoyeon, Yuri, and Sooyoung. Hardcore fans will remember that this unit was originally nicknamed SHY,
standing for Sooyoung, Hyoyeon, and Yuri. They used to perform special cover stages together at concerts years ago, just as a treat for the fans.
But now, it is an official, fully fledged debut. They are dropping a track called Skibidi, which is totally aiming for an all-kill on the charts.
Which is such an internet culture Gen Z title. It shows they are fully leaning into modern viral trends rather than just relying on nostalgia.
They're incredibly savvy. They already dropped a pre-debut track to build momentum, an OST titled A Night When Stars Pour Down for Yoo Jae-suk's massive variety show, Hang Out With You.
We even have their official positions for the subunit. Hyoyeon is taking the leader role, Yuri is the center, and vision.
So remember who anchors the group's aesthetic, yeah.
Right. And Sooyoung, who is 36 years old, is hilariously playing the maknae.
Which is so funny. For those unfamiliar with K-pop hierarchy, the maknae is the youngest member of a group, and they usually have to act cute and defer to the older members.
So Young adopting that persona at this stage in her career is a great self-aware joke.
Their official group greeting is just them enthusiastically yelling, "Yes, I will." They're clearly having the time of their lives.
But what is truly staggering here is that this highly anticipated subunit debut is actually just the appetizer.
According to the sources, specifically a July 21st interview with Tiffany Young, the groundwork is already being laid for something much bigger.
And as a quick side note, the sources also dropped the fun detail that Tiffany is currently engaged to actor Byun-yohan with an autumn 2026 wedding planned.
Such exciting news for her. But in that same interview, Tiffany revealed that SNSD is holding formal quarterly meetings to plan a full group comeback for their 20th anniversary in 2027.
Which brings us back to that logistical paradox. I am genuinely baffled by the mechanics of this. How do 8 women who are now spread across multiple competing entertainment agencies coordinate a massive full-scale K-pop comeback?
It seems impossible, right? We're talking about album recordings, choreography camps, music video shoots, and stadium tours.
How does that happen without their schedules collapsing?
It requires looking at the actual legal architecture of their new contracts. This level of cross-agency coordination is possible through what the industry calls carve-out clauses.
How does a carve-out clause actually work in practice?
When a member like Sooyoung or Sooyoung sits down to sign a contract with a new acting agency, they're holding all the cards. They aren't just an actress looking for work, they are a member of Girls' Generation.
Right.
So their lawyers will literally write a clause into the new contract stipulating that a specific number of days per year or specific months are legally protected and reserved exclusively for SNSD activities.
And the new agency just agrees to that. They willingly pause their own revenue stream so their client can go make money for a different brand.
They do, because being associated with an SNSD member elevates the prestige of the acting agency itself. The members have the contractual freedom to block out time because they demanded it up front.
That is why they are conducting quarterly meetings like a board of directors.
Exactly. They aren't waiting for a CEO to tell them when to practice. They are checking their own respective schedules, aligning their carve-out clauses, and dictating the timeline to their respective agencies.
They literally run the business of being Girls' Generation. But, to truly appreciate the magnitude of that freedom, we have to look at the dark side of the K-pop machine.
Right. The contrast between SNSD current autonomy and the reality for younger idols is jarring. And later in the episode, we'll talk about a shocking legal plot twist nobody saw coming.
But first, the Koreaboo sources provide a very sobering parallel story unfolding right now in the industry, involving a 4th-generation idol named Yoona from the group ITZY.
Managed by JYP Entertainment. Just days before Yuri's celebratory departure announcement, Yoona was hospitalized.
She suffered severe inflammation following a dangerously high fever, which forced her to miss their scheduled August fan sign events in Shenzhen, China.
The reaction from the domestic K-nets was immediate and fierce. Eyewitnesses who saw Yoona before the official health announcement reported that she appeared extremely weak.
To the point where she allegedly couldn't even stand without physical support. That is the nightmare scenario for any artist.
And this wasn't an isolated incident of catching a sudden flu. Fans started pulling the public data on ITZY's itinerary.
They compiled a spreadsheet showing that Yoona had completed over 70 official schedules across multiple different countries in just the last 7 months alone.
Let's break down what a schedule actually means for a K-pop idol, because it's not just a 1-hour Zoom meeting.
No, a single schedule for a music show appearance means waking up at 2 a.m. for hair and makeup, arriving at the broadcasting station at 5 a.m. for a dry rehearsal.
Doing a pre-recording at 8 a.m., waiting in a cramped green room all day, performing live at 4 p.m., and then rushing to a fan call event that goes until 10 p.m.
Then you wake up the next day, board an international flight, deal with mobbing at the airport, head straight to a stadium for a sound check, perform a 3-hour, highly choreographed concert,
and fly back to Seoul the next morning to shoot a commercial.
Doing that 70 times in 7 months is unsustainable. Netizens are outright accusing JYP Entertainment of running the group into the ground.
The fans are pointing out that these young women are being treated like industrial machines designed to maximize quarterly profits, rather than human beings who require basic rest and physical recovery.
When we put these two stories side by side, Yoona's hospitalization and Yuri's subunit debut, the generational contrast is profound.
Yoona is currently trapped in the breathless, grueling machine of a mid-tier idol contract. The agency owns her time, her schedule, and, to a large extent, her physical stamina.
And that is the exact same meat grinder that Yuri and the rest of SNSD had to survive. They lived through the endless flights, the sleep deprivation, and the relentless pressure of their early years.
Their current ability to sip coffee in a quarterly board meeting dictate their own comeback terms, and walk away from their family agency while keeping their group alive. That is the ultimate prize.
It reframes the entire concept of career longevity. The power dynamic in K-pop is heavily front-loaded in favor of the agency.
The company takes the financial risk of training and debuting the idol, so they extract maximum value during those first 7 years.
If you survive that, and if you manage to build an ironclad bond with a massive fandom, the scales finally tip in your favor.
Which brings us back to you listening right now. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update, because the K-pop industry is just a hyper-magnified version of the universal struggle for career autonomy.
Whether you're a global pop star selling out the Tokyo Dome, or an office worker putting in 60-hour weeks trying to climb the corporate ladder, the early years are often about surviving the grind.
You put in the sweat equity, you learn the machinery of your industry, and you build your personal capital. You do it so that eventually you have the leverage to walk away from the negotiating table on your own terms.
You earn the right to say, I am leaving the company, but I am keeping the brand.
And that raises a fascinating legal paradox for the future of the industry.
Let's summarize what we've unpacked today before we get to that. We started with the historic news of Kwon Yuri ending her 19-year exclusive contract with SM Entertainment.
We explored how internal corporate chaos has driven veteran idols toward part-time cross-agency deals.
We broke down the massive hype surrounding her August 31st departure, which doubles as the debut date for the Hyurisu subunit.
We detailed the brilliant legal carve-outs that allow SNSD to plan their 2027 anniversary.
And finally, we contrasted their hard-won independence with the exhausting reality faced by current generation idols like ITZY's Yuna, highlighting just how brutal the climb to the top actually is.
The trajectory of Girls' Generation forces us to ask a question that entertainment lawyers are likely already debating behind closed doors.
If this trend continues, and let's say eventually all the remaining SNSD members decide to leave SM Entertainment, who legally owns the name Girls' Generation?
That is the million-dollar question. Historically, South Korean agencies clutch onto group trademarks with an iron grip, sometimes forcing groups to completely rebrand if they want to stay together after leaving.
But SNSD isn't just a group, they are an institution.
Could they become the first mega group to force an agency to surrender a trademark entirely, simply because the idols themselves hold too much cultural weight and public support for the agency to fight them in court?
That would be the ultimate power move. If anyone has the power to pull off a heist of their own trademark, it would definitely be them.
Completely agree.
You've been listening to StarScope K Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.